and welcome to Chamber Chat. This is a series in partnership between WINPEG and the Monmouth Independence Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center in order to help our community get to know our members better beyond their business or organization. Joining me today, I have Dave Menke. He is the General Manager and Director of Golf at Knoll Golf Course. So Dave, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And we're just going to jump right on in. You are relatively new to the Monmouth Independence community. What made you select to get a job and to move to this area?
Well, besides the weather,
which is beautiful. Today is really rainy outside right now as we're filming this.
But it's actually not as bad as we expected moving up from sunny Southern California. But the cost of living, first and foremost. We've got twice the house for a third of the price coming from the LA market. Yeah. But the lifestyle and just the beautiful scenery around here too is just so wonderful to enjoy every day. So
it is quite pretty. My husband and I are from North Carolina, and we feel it's not cheaper compared to North Carolina, so that's not quite the advantage for us, but it is quite beautiful when you're just driving along Highway 99 or 51 or 22 and just you see the rolling hills and the coastal range, and it's just really pretty.
And the agriculture and everything about it. So we've really taken to it and enjoy the wine scene up here too. Wine country is amazing.
There are a few vineyards around in Polk County, particularly Polk County. So now tell us a little bit about what you do with Knoll Golf Course.
So I'm the General Manager and Director of Golf. I got some experience in between my last golf job and this job in the wine industry, and went to Chemeketa and finished with a wine business degree, and was able to work at some wineries and for a wine broker. So I was a sales rep for a wine broker, and actually Monmouth and Independence was part of my route, and got to know a lot of the business owners here in the area. So hopefully I can entertain them now at Knoll.
All right. So. Wow. So you started with, so I guess the wineries really are important to you, given the studies. And okay, it's full circle. Okay. So what so far would you say has been one of your greatest professional accomplishments?
Well, I turned professional while I was still in school at Illinois State University back in Normal, Illinois, in the middle of a cornfield. So this isn't too far off, being in the middle of agriculture country. But being a PGA professional for the last 14 years has been wonderful. It's opened up so many doors. I've met so many wonderful people, been able to travel to a lot of great destinations, and golf is just a fantastic sport and lifestyle. Do
you have a favorite course that you've played in your years?
I don't have a favorite. I think the favorite that I would say is the one that I'm playing.
As long as you're playing it well.
Yeah, that helps too. The better you play, the more fun you have,
right.
For sure.
I've attempted golf very, very minimally. My husband actually, in Greensboro, North Carolina, his hometown, there was a par 3 near his neighborhood as a boy, so he and his older brother and some other neighborhood kids often would play at the par 3 and then later worked at the par 3. So he definitely has more of the background in golf, and then I meet him, and we've gone to driving ranges a couple times, and I've played at a par 3, like maybe 9 holes, and yeah. I'm just thrilled if the ball goes straight.
Straight is good. It's an accuracy game, so.
But I still don't always know which club to use. I'm like, I don't really, just hand me something else, see what I can do.
Well, you should come out to Knoll, and we'll get you going. We've got a great practice facility and instructors on staff that'll definitely help you with that.
So Knoll is a full 18-hole golf course. You've got the driving range there. You've got a nice restaurant. What all? Am I missing something with Knoll?
It's actually the oldest golf course in the Willamette Valley. So it was developed in 1926, and we've got 18 holes. Very player-friendly, but then it is also a challenging golf course for better players because of the small greens and some narrow fairways. But we've got 18, besides the 18 holes, we've got the practice facility. So we've got 2 full turf practice tees, and then we've got a covered range area, and we've got an instruction area where you can go inside and look at video and things like that. And we've got a couple practice holes, short game and putting courses as well. So.
Okay. Now, Val and Diane Barnes, the owners, they've come to several of our chamber forums or mixers and whatnot. Very nice people. They've always been very welcoming to the chamber. I know we've hosted some of our monthly forums out there in your restaurant, and people, love the food. It's a great meeting place, so I can definitely speak on behalf of that.
Yeah, thank you.
I know we also, they're just really great to work with as far as other community outreach. I think people host a lot of their different golf tournaments there, and I think there's just a great connection between Oak Knoll and the community in the sense of helping people promote their own needs for their own organizations.
That's one of the things I'm looking forward to is hosting corporate events, charity events, and things like that. Maybe chamber events.
Right, I'd love to do it. Yes,
and,
absolutely.
Yeah, maybe we can tie in some golf and after the chamber event. But how's your golf game, anyway? So,
yeah, I don't have a game. I have the ability to try to hit a ball.
just as long as you use it for what it's worth, and you
Right.
come out and you have a good time. And
It is fun though to play golf. So, all right. So, tell me on a personal level, what would you say has been one of your greatest accomplishments thus far, personally?
Well, my wife and the kids, absolutely. So I met my wife down in Los Angeles. She's a school teacher, and we've got two beautiful children, Eliza, who's 3, and Charlie, who's 5, and they're a lot of fun. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what does your wife teach?
She is a English and literature teacher at a Catholic school.
Okay.
So.
All right. More power to her. I taught for 8 years, and it was great. I was a middle school, then high school teacher, total of 8 years, and it was definitely an amazing experience to work with students and to see those aha moments, and it was great.
and she really enjoys that, and that's her age range too, so junior high and high school, and I think it takes a certain personality and dedication to be able to work with that type of segment. But,
right.
It's very rewarding to her, and she does a great job with it.
So how are your kids liking living in Oregon versus, they're younger, so I don't know how much, if they were in LA or not.
Well, Eliza was born in LA, but then we moved up right after she was born.
Okay.
So Charlie got a feel for the LA sunshine versus the seasonality of Oregon. But he really loves it, and right now, being in the winter, he's full on into basketball. He's only 5, but whatever game is on, he's got a Lakers jersey, so he'll put his Lakers jersey on and watch the game. And he's playing in a couple of youth basketball leagues that I'm coaching, so that's one of the things that I enjoy away from golf is helping coach basketball, and then I also ref some basketball in junior high and high school. So. Take it easy on those guys in the zebra stripes.
Well, my husband used to coach too, so basketball actually. So, and we're from North Carolina, so ACC country.
Big basketball.
Yeah,
that's great. So, but when I was in LA, I was coaching the junior high team that my wife taught at, and now I feel like I've gone to the dark side and being a ref, but it gives me more appreciation for the referees out on the court.
It's a tough job. What people yell at refs sometimes, it's just uncalled for. But anyway, I
gotta have some
digress.
thick skin and some broad shoulders for sure.
So now, again, you're still newer to the community. And I say that because I've lived here for over 3 years now, and I'm still referenced as being new to the community by some. What would you say is one of the biggest features that just jumps out at you about Polk County as a whole, besides, you mentioned natural beauty, but what really jumps out to you about Polk County?
Well, when I was selling wine in Independence and Monmouth and all, just the friendliness of the people and the way they welcome you into their business, and you start to develop the relationships that we really didn't get to do as much in LA. So.
All right. Great. So welcoming people with natural beauty. All right. And this is my favorite question that I get to ask people every time we do this. What would you say is a skill or hobby that you have that might surprise people?
Well, I would say the coaching aspect of, with basketball. I really enjoy coaching whatever it is, and helping people improve. Just like in golf, if I'm teaching somebody for the first time, and then they, finally get it, and they hit the ball solid for the first time, and you just see that aha moment, and you've got that, the look on their face, and it's just so gratifying. So I really enjoy that.
Wow, you can really hear the passion in your voice about that. That's fun. So, all right. Well, is there anything coming up with Oak Knoll that we should know? Anything? We're into the winter months now, but anything coming up in the spring? Or?
That's right. So we're developing new programs for all levels of ability. So beginner programs, women's programs, and then junior programs. So we're going to really develop a big junior golf program for all levels. So for beginners, young kids, high school players that are getting ready for the upcoming high school season. So
there's really no excuse for people not to be able to come up to Oak Knoll and find a level or ability, any of that. Like Oak Knoll's the answer.
That's right.
Okay. Well, Dave, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Thanks
for joining us for the Chamber Chat, and I look forward to working with Oak Knoll for yet some more forums and whatnot. It's a great place to go.
Same here. Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Hi, and welcome back to Chamber Chat. Joining me now, I have Beto Reyes. He is the Eligibility and Post-Secondary Specialist with the HALO program. So
That's
thanks
correct.
for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's jump in. And why HALO? Why did you choose to work in Monmouth and Independence with the HALO program?
Well, for Monmouth Independence, we would have to back up because luck of the draw, I ended up in Newport, Oregon. I grew up in Mexico. After I graduated high school, that's where we ended up. We ended up in Newport, and so I looked at my college options, and since my high school could have fit in the football stadium here at Western, I said, well, I better go with the smaller of the universities. So that's how I ended up here in Monmouth Independence. After being a student at Western, I worked for Western for a while, and a friend of mine, Paul Allen, was the assistant director at HALO. And he said, hey, why don't you come over and work with us? And so I looked into what the HALO program was about. And encouraging young adults is something that I have a passion for. And so it was a good fit.
Excellent. So you come here, you come to the Monmouth Independence area for your education, and you've stayed.
Correct.
And I love hearing these stories. The more I get, more of these chats that I do, and the more I get to know people in the community. I'm not originally from here either. But the more I get to know people, I love the draw that people have, that what brings them to Monmouth and Independence, and then this becomes home. And they stay because they like it. So what would you say is a really unique feature about our community that just really stands out to you?
As far as community, I would say that living on campus was my community for a while. I've only lived here just a few years. I spent my 4 years on campus, and then I lived in Salem. Right now I'm living in McMinnville. But an aspect of community is just everybody comes together. I love, I don't know if you've heard of the service integration team.
I have.
And that's what community is all about, is coming together and helping each other to better our community and the people in it.
Right, the service integration team, real quick, just for clarification. When I first moved out, I learned about them just through happenstance of checking some things out online. Went as a community member to some of the meetings just to learn more about it. And it's a great program where representatives of local organizations meet once a month in the different areas of Polk County to coordinate their services to really help those who are in need. And it was just an amazing experience to see how they work. Now with the chamber, they're also a chamber member, so I continue to know Michelle and all that, but I actually did know about them prior to my own experience with the chamber. And it is a really nice organization to see how people do interact and coordinate to make sure that people's needs are reached.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell me what all you do with HALO specifically as the eligibility and post-secondary specialist.
Yes, that's a really long
It is.
mouthful. So the eligibility part, what that means is when somebody's interested about the program, they contact me, we set up an orientation, we lay the whole program out there, so there's no surprises. Then I walk them through the eligibility process. After that, the way the program works is we've taken the 3 career coaches, so myself, Quinn, and Justin, and we all used to do everything, but now we're now each specializing in an area. So my specialty is the post-secondary piece. Quinn's is employment and resource, and Justin is the education and tutoring specialist. So when somebody comes in and says, hey, Beto, I want to get my GED, or I want to complete my high school diploma, then we look at how the road is going to look. But then they're going to start working with Justin a little bit closer, just because that's his specialty area. After they completed their either GED or high school, or getting really close to doing that, then the conversation is had again. Okay, what do you want to do afterwards? And if the answer is, I want to focus on employment, then they go and work with Quinn a little bit closer. If the answer is, I want to do any kind of education afterwards, whether it's going to college or going to a community college, getting a certificate, doing an apprenticeship, any schooling after secondary, then they come to me.
Okay. Now, how long have you been with Halo now?
A little over 2 years.
Okay.
Yes. July 16th was my start date. So.
Now, what would you say so far has been one of your greatest professional accomplishments?
With Halo, anytime a young adult realizes their potential and everything that they have to offer, I count that as a success. Whether it's somebody taking a practice test and going, oh, I didn't know I was going to score that high, or I don't know. Every time they surprise themselves with the talent that they have, I just tally that up as success.
We had a young lady with Halo who volunteered this past October. The Chamber did a spectacular bingo event, and one of your young ladies volunteered to come and help us that day. And she was one who, I think, based on our conversation, surprised herself with some of the tests. And she was a little more nervous, I think, to do the math section, but the English part was really, as she said, easier than she had thought. And so she scored really well on it. And she's like, now I want to score that well on all of them.
Yeah.
And I love that idea that she realized she was capable and she could do this, and she has that goal now, and she's like, I want to make this happen, type of thing. And it was that was fun to watch.
We had a young lady just a few days ago. She scored a 183 on a practice test, which 200 is a perfect score. And she said, I think it may have been a fluke, so I better do it again. And then she scores a 193.
Oh, wow.
So it's just amazing to be a part of that.
Wow. So on a personal level, what would you say has been one of your greatest accomplishments personally?
My family. I love my wife, and I have 3 kids. I did send in some pictures. I don't know if they were the right size. But yes, there's my wife. We're there on the Willamette Queen. She is just an amazing woman, and I couldn't imagine just continuing on without her and her support.
Wow.
And my 3 kids, there they are. I have twin boys. They're 2.5 right now, and my daughter is 4. So our unit is just such a great accomplishment in my eyes.
Wow, 4 and then 2.5-year-olds. That's
yes.
a fun house.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
All right, so what would you say now? I've had Tammy and Quinn. They've done Chamber Chat, and Tammy's answer to this question is still one of my favorites, without a doubt. But what would you say is a hobby or a skill that you have that might surprise people?
So my hobbies right now kind of take a little bit of a backseat, as you notice,
Right.
our small group or our family. But one thing that may surprise people is that my wife and I enjoy Cuban salsa dancing. And I say it may surprise people because, I don't know, here we are. I'm from Mexico, so I'm Mexican, and my wife's from here, and we both enjoy Cuban salsa dancing, which is different than what you see on TV, but it's been a passion of ours. And we used to dance with a group out of Corvallis, and we got to travel. We went to Germany, we went to Miami, we've been to Canada. It's just around Oregon. So that was just a really, really, really fun experience that we had, and now it's turned into, when the kids are sleeping, maybe we'll dance in the living room or invite them and I'll dance all together.
So is there a large following for that style of dance here, particularly in Polk County?
In Polk County, I know here at Western, there's a dance class that focuses on that style. I actually used to teach that in collaboration with Daryl Thomas. So thank you, Daryl, for letting me be a part of that. It was just great. I was working in the Office of Admissions, and I got to work the class into my schedule. So it was really, really fun. As far as Polk County, that's the only one that I am aware of. I know there's a vineyard, Cubanissimo, off of 22 that has Cuban salsa events. But those are the ones that I'm aware
Okay,
of.
so how did you get started with Cuban salsa dancing? Why that as opposed to any other style of dance?
It kind of grew. We had a friend that invited us to just a class over in Corvallis, and my wife and I were looking for something to do as a couple. Back then we were just dating, so we decided to try dancing. Why not? And we discovered a lot about ourselves. It's not easy to do a couple dance when we're both trying to lead. So it definitely helped us in our relationship. And it's a really fun style of dance. It's concentrated on who you're dancing with. So it's not flashy. There's no sequence. There's no glitter. It's just about you and your partner and just connecting and reacting through what you feel through the music.
Well, you're definitely a good spokesperson for it then. So, real quick before we wrap this up, any new events or anything coming up with Halo? We're in December right now. Is there anything coming up in late winter or early spring?
Yeah, so we have partnered with a few organizations. I'm not going to try to name them all just in case I miss one, but we through this partnership we're able to offer a construction training program. That's going to start in January. We have 2 orientations coming up, one here in December, one in, I want to say January 5th. I don't remember the date for the December one. But if anybody wants to be a part of that, they do have to be a part of Halo. They have to be actively, have to be accepted into the program to participate. But that's something that's coming up.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Beto, for being here. I love your passion, your excitement about your job, your wife, your kids, Cuban salsa dancing.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you here, so thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much, Jean.
Hi, and welcome back to Chamber Chat. Joining me now, I have Marshall Guthrie, who is the Director of the Student Enrichment Program here at Western Oregon University. Marshall, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, I'm glad I could be here. This is fantastic.
So, I've known you for a while now, and you're wearing more and more hats, it seems, in the community. So we'll start with what you do with Western, and we'll see about the rest. But explain a little bit more what the Student Enrichment Program is and what your role with that is, please.
Right. So my primary role here in the community is that I am the director of the Student Enrichment Program. It's a federally funded TRIO program. So we work with first generation and low income students as well as students with documented disabilities. And the whole goal of the program is how do we get students who are underrepresented in campus environments to graduation. So that's our goal, is to get them across that stage. And we do that through a number of ways. When you think about first-generation low-income students, there's certainly for first-generation students a lack of places that they can go to get their questions answered about college. So we become a stand-in for parents who may not have college experience to answer those questions. I know that my folks were very supportive of my college experience, but they themselves were not college graduates, and so they didn't have a lot to offer me in the way of information. Low-income students, it's pretty obvious. There's a cycle where if you graduate from college, you earn more money, but it takes more and more money every year to go to college, and so it becomes increasingly difficult for students from low-income backgrounds to get that college degree. And we try to help those students as well by providing free classes, resources such as we have a textbook library that is mainly based on donations. They can get textbooks from us for free instead of paying $100.
That's awesome.
As publishers are very, they're very proud of their textbooks. And on top of that, we try to also educate them. I teach a financial literacy class, educate them about how to manage their college budget in a way that keeps things inexpensive as can be while they're pursuing their degree.
That is wonderful. I have a sister who's 4 years older, so luckily I got to learn more about college because of her experience, but our mom didn't go to college, and so she was definitely the guinea pig in learning all that.
Yeah.
A program like this would have been fabulous for us. I went to a small college in North Carolina, and luckily the financial aid office, the admissions office, they were very hands-on and helped guide me through a lot of that as well once I got to Davidson. So the fact that that program exists at Western, you have this outreach to that student population, I find personally just amazing, and I'm glad that program exists.
Yeah, and I can't take all the credit for it. Anybody that knows Western knows how much Western values its first-generation students and our students from low-income backgrounds. And so everywhere you go on campus, whether it's financial aid, whether it's academic advising, your professors in the classroom, they are attuned to the special needs that students without previous college experience in their family have.
Because it's definitely overwhelming. And then you'll hear the horror stories from people,
Yes.
which makes you even less likely to want to do this. And so it's nice that there's that help there, and the financial literacy that you're adding to it. that's just wonderful.
I could, yeah, I, as a first-generation low-income student, I could tell you my own horror stories. We'd have to change the rating on the program if I did that. It's definitely a trial by fire, and it's unfortunate because there's so much. It's not a question of ability for low-income first-generation students. It's a question of access, and there's so much unused potential out there in America, in our workforce, that people just aren't being taken to their fullest potential.
So now, why Western Oregon University? Why did you choose to live, work in Monmouth Independence, Western Oregon? Why?
Well, I was primarily dragged here, I would say. We were myself and my partner Megan, we were in New York at the time, and I was working a lot at a different university than she was. We were about 3 hours apart, so if we wanted to catch each other for dinner, we were working mornings and nights. It was like a 3-hour round trip, and so that really that cut into our quality of life. And on top of that, when we did have time off, we were going to visit the family. My family is still in Iowa. Her family was out here in Oregon, so we were flying back and forth across the continent a couple times a year. And things were going great at my job. I liked the school that I was at. It was a smaller private institution. Had some things going for it, other things I prefer about Western. But at the end of the day, we couldn't do it anymore. We needed to find more balance. And so she took a job out here at Western and told me about the university, and I said, well, I'm coming out along with you. There's no way I'm leaving you or this opportunity behind. I got my insurance license. I worked at Best Buy. I basically hustled for a while, and then finally got on with the student enrichment program as an advisor. And so for me, I'd been to Oregon a couple times. I'd been to Portland, primarily been to the Valley. I knew what to expect. I knew how beautiful it was. And it wasn't a question for me, especially considering that Western was a smaller public institution. It was something that I knew that I was missing at the privates. Not that there's anything wrong with the variety of institutions that we have providing education across this country. But for me, the students that attend a public university are really there to get their education first and foremost, and they understand the value of education. And sometimes that can get lost when your tuition's a little bit higher. You start to ask yourself, what am I really paying for? And you lose sight of where that money should be going, which is helping you get the knowledge and the experience that you need to be successful.
So you sasaid you were familiar with Oregon or the area and whatnot. What would you say, now that you've been here for a while, what would you say is a feature that really just stands out, makes the Polk County area, the Monmouth Independence area, what really makes us stand out, would you say?
Right, so I think that this is something when people ask, why should I come to Polk County, you almost just want to say, go try it out once. And whether it's anywhere up and down the valley from Portland all the way down here to Monmouth Independence, once you experience it, once you experience the beautiful weather, I mean, I'm from Iowa, so any place there isn't 4 feet of snow on the ground, I don't care if it's raining, it's beautiful to me. You experience the people. It has a lot of that small town atmosphere. People talk about folks from the Midwest, Iowa being so friendly, and I get that same feeling out here, that same neighborly feeling, and people are genuinely happy to see each other, and they want to make those good relationships and those good connections. I say come out here and experience those things, and you hear from folks. As soon as they come out here, they know what it is. I had a friend of mine that went to the Daily Show taping in New York, and before the show, Jon Stewart comes out and he meets the guests, and they strike up a conversation. She says she's from Portland, and he said, oh, Portland, Oregon, I love that place. And she says, shh, don't tell anyone. And of course he steps up, oh yeah, Portland, terrible, it's the New Jersey of the West. But the reality is, I think that we do hide our light under a bushel to a certain extent. We expect people just to know about it. We got to get out there and tell people how great Oregon is and how great Monmouth Independence is, and get more smart, talented, energetic people to this community, because we have so much potential for growth and so much to offer.
I would agree. Again, my husband and I are from North Carolina. We've lived here now for several years and absolutely love Oregon, love the Valley, love Monmouth Independence, and very happy to call it home. I'm sure we still have some family members who are questioning, why Oregon? It's like, well, come out and visit and you'll see why Oregon. No offense to North Carolina, of course, but it's quite wonderful here. Now, what would you say has been one of your greatest professional accomplishments?
My greatest professional accomplishment is probably the time that I'm now spending with the Board of Trustees for Western Oregon University. I was selected as a staff representative, and so my peers kind of put my name forward, and they put a couple names forward, and after meeting with a couple of folks, I was selected to fulfill the role. And so I think they got me on the hook for 4 years. I think it's my term. Went before the Senate, got confirmed, all that. That was fun. That was an experience I hadn't had a lot of experience with. I have a couple political roles now, but I hadn't delved too much into politics before that. But for me, what was most exciting about that is that I now have this opportunity as Western becomes independent from the OUS system to really guide the direction that we're going to take. And for those of you that don't know the OUS system, dissolving, we won't get too much into it, but essentially each individual university now that was part of the original 7 has its own independent governing board, and they get to kind of guide their own destiny. And this is great because I'm here on campus. So many of the other board members are either here on campus or in the area or are alumni or otherwise affiliated with Western. And so there's going to be more access to people who know about Western and who are guiding it than there's ever been before. I always felt that, and sometimes you get this, you feel like the government system is kind of nebulous. You don't know where to start. You don't know who's really responsible, who's behind the big doors and the big gold-topped buildings. That's not what's happening here now at Western. Instead, you know the faces of the people. You can go to the website, you see every single person on the board. We all have email addresses through the university, and so the people, the students, the faculty, the staff here at Western are going to have far more access to the folks driving the ship than they've ever had before. And I think there's going to be so much collaboration and so much idea-centric purpose that comes out of this that Western is just so poised to do so much in the next years.
So I mentioned in the beginning that you wear multiple hats.
I
And
do,
that's
a little
one that, an additional hat. And then congratulations as well. Recently you were elected to the Monmouth City Council.
Yep, first
So
official
another hat.
election, vindication.
There you go. So yet another hat that Marshall Guthrie is wearing. So along those lines, what would you say has been one of your greatest personal accomplishments?
It's funny with that lead in, it may not seem like it, but my greatest personal accomplishment is probably a greater work-life balance than I've ever had before. Working in student affairs and education, it's expected that when you're young and unmarried, you have no family, you have all this energy, they're going to grind you to a nub. And I think that happens a lot. And so when I was at my previous institutions, I've been affiliated with 6+ institutions now, they take advantage of young energy, and we have to in order to get the best out of our people. But there were times when, because my daily commute was an hour at best, I was sleeping under my desk because I was working late and it didn't make any sense to go home. That wasn't a great way to live. And so while I'm still certainly putting in a lot of hours both inside and outside the institution with city council on the board, I have more time now to do things that I enjoy. Bike riding is a huge part of my life. I only rediscovered it after leaving New York. I don't know if you know this about New York traffic. It's not the most conducive to taking a bike through.
It appears not that way, yes, on the movies and TV and things like that. Yeah, not really
It's
bike friendly.
Yeah, and I think that at the end of the day, a lot of people just look at the odds and say, I'm going to skip the bike, I'm going to hop in a car, and it's unfortunate because I am by far healthier and happier and I have more energy and I spend less money on transportation than I ever have before in my life. So it ties also back into why Monmouth and why Independence and why Western Oregon is that when I looked at the community and I realized it was the kind of place where I could cut my commute down to a bike ride and we could go down to a single vehicle. I thought, this is perfect. I'm going to spend my life outside of that metal cage we call an automobile. And now a lot of people will count the number of miles they put on a bicycle over the course of the years. I find it's easier just to count the number of miles I put in a car. It's a smaller number.
So last question real quick before we run out of time. But
Sure.
my favorite question I get to ask everyone is, what skill or hobby do you have that might surprise people? So now that we know all these hats that you're wearing, your
Sure.
passion for your job, for this community, it's your home, what's something that might surprise people about you?
So I try out a lot of different hobbies. I'd say that the one other than the bike riding that I've really stuck with has been, I'm a big home theater and music fan. So when I was in college, even when you had the little 13-inch television and the one stereo speaker splashing mono sound out of the front, I was really into music, I was really into movies. And so I'm a contributing videographer and reviewer for audioholics.com, and so that's a home theater website. We've been trying to get to more concerts now. We have a close proximity not only to the great entertainment at Rice Auditorium here locally, but also to Portland and Salem. And so we went to a Postal Service concert, the 10th year anniversary of their release of the Give Up album. And it was something that, it's funny, people think, okay, you're in New York, you have all this entertainment around you. The reality is it's all too cumbersome to get to and it's too expensive. Here in this community, you're an easy drive away, or better yet, here in town at Rice Auditorium, an easy walk, an easy bike ride away from really world-class entertainment, and you can finally take advantage of all this great stuff that's happening without it costing you a fortune or taking a whole day off work. So for me, not only do I plant myself firmly in front of my television at home, and I do a little bit of work on the side for this internet publication, but I try to take advantage of more music and theater opportunities as well.
Super. Well, Marshall, you definitely are actively engaged in our community. We're happy to have you here, and thank you for being part of Chamber Chat today.
It's been fantastic. Thank you very much.